guess I just don't understand why anybody could support the way that these deportations are like being done and claim being like a patriot or being skeptical of the government and government overreach. Yep.
Okay. Why does that? Why not?
Because a lot of them are just being done unconstitutionally, and the administration is either lying about things or they are doing things uh, in a way that just avoids the law or tramples on people's rights.
Well, I mean, I think that is the question, right? That if you're not here legally, then you don't have those particular rights. And so when
No, that's not
you're,
true.
what's not true?
The specific rights of due process are protected even if you
Right.
aren't here legally.
No, I didn't say you don't have any rights. I'm saying you don't have the same rights as somebody who is a citizen. And so there is, so we could take this in a lot of different directions, because I don't think we would argue that there definitely are people who, number one, are here illegally, and number two, are not good people. I think we could start that there are some people that we are happy to get rid of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's definitely a group that we can talk about and agree on. There's also a group of people who may be here illegally, but they're good people, and they're just trying to work and whatever. And then some people might say, well, we want to keep those people here.
Well, to be clear, it's not that they're here illegally; it's that they came here illegally. But if you go through the process, the legal process and the constitutional process, to like actually seek asylum or to like get granted withholding, you are here legally. You understand that, right?
Sure, but the problem is that when you get into the number, like the millions of numbers that we have, then you're not going to get you have a big enough array of people that something drastic now needs to be done. Now we on the right, we're talking about vetting and this and that for a long time, and the way that you prevent, the bigger the system you need, the more cracks there's going to be for people to fall through. I'm not going to say that, our government is perfect and everybody who obviously not. I'm very anti-government in general. But the fact is that we have this problem of millions and millions and millions of people who don't belong here. And that was a problem that was saddled onto the Trump administration because of what Biden and Kamala did.
Okay, so if we're talking about vetting, we agree that we should probably do something to actually make it so the vetting could be easier. I'm one of those people that thinks that like the bar for asylum could be a little lower. There are certain things that can be done in order to make sure that people are coming here and not abusing that system. However, when you say that because the problem is big enough that we have to just override what is in the Constitution and the president, you're not saying this, but that's what you are advocating for. Because the thing that
let's
you're
dig
saying,
into that then. Dig into that. What is it that I'm because we're still talking very broadly. So what so far have I said that has been unconstitutional?
Okay, so do you think that these people should be deported without due process?
No.
Okay, but they are being deported without due process.
Well, I mean, it depends on how. If we're saying, if you, by saying due process, means they have to get a court date and go through all of this, as opposed to you have the process of not having the proper papers and that's the decision, then no, I don't think everybody who's here illegally should get a court date. Again, if we wanted to have that system, we should have been vetting on the way in which case at least a lot more people would have.
We do have that system, and it's called the Constitution.
Say again?
People who are here, who are in the states, are subject to the constitutional rights that are afforded to them under the Fifth Amendment. So it doesn't matter if they're here legally and what you feel like we should do for a certain person. It's the fact that the Constitution says that that's the case. And if you can prove that these people are gang members and they are these vicious people, it's as simple as just doing a trial and making that happen. Or presenting.
It's not as that's not. You say it's just as simple as a trial, but that's not simple. That takes time. That takes money. That takes the person to actually show up. If you're an MS13 gang member and you're in America, are you going to show up to that court date? And then what happens? Then it gets adjudicated. We got to do this.
Hold on. And that. No, I'm not talking about releasing them from being detained. I'm talking about not deporting them. If they're detained, then you will have them able to show up for that.
That's what I'm saying. Well, let's focus this a little bit more, because we're talking about illegals, which is a very large umbrella. And I think for both of us, there will be cases where, okay, this person shouldn't have been treated that way, and we both agree this person should have been treated that way and deported. So I need you to focus a little bit more on, like, do you have a specific case that you'd like to talk
do
about?
You want to do the most popular one right now, the Kilmar Garcia one?
Sure. I'm not super familiar with the particulars, so
he's the just to remind you, he's the one that's like he's the more recent one that's been like Maryland man.
What's the name?
You know what I'm talking about? Kilmar Garcia. He's the one that's like dominating the news right now. The Democratic Senator from Maryland flew down to see him. They the courts ordered him to be facilitated from custody, from release, or facilitate his release of custody.
All right.
Yeah, he's the one that the government is currently smearing as an MS13 member and not presenting the actual evidence for that.
Okay, so let's check out a little ABC News is fine with you?
We're doing mainstream media? That's crazy.
I'm trying to figure something out where we're all happy. So let's see what they're saying here.
From the United States are now in El Salvador on a quest for answers about Kilmar Garcia. The Maryland man was wrongfully deported in what the White House calls an administrative error. The Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate Garcia's return to the United States, but the Justice Department says because he's in a foreign country, its hands are tied. One of those lawmakers now in El Salvador, Oregon, Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, joins me now for more on this. Congresswoman, thanks for coming on. I'm curious, have you met with Garcia yet, or do you think you'll get a chance to?
No, and I'm sorry to do this, but just to clarify, we actually left El Salvador late last night, so we are en route back to our homes. But we were denied the opportunity to meet with the.
Talk about the case.
That's what I was going to say.
Your hotel.
I think it was so important for you to see him too that you went all the way there to try to.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that this trip accomplished is keeping this story and the constitutional crisis. It really illustrates front and center. This is one man and family's nightmare, but it could be anyone's. Constitutional rights to due process are inclusive throughout the country, no matter status. And so we were there to make sure that people understand the threat to Garcia is a threat to everyone in this country. And the people in my district have reached out on this issue more than any other because they understand that we need to fight for our constitutional rights.
Have you had
I mean, that's is there anything specific, just want to give a basic overview of what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, most of the right wing, either alternative or I'm not going to say mainstream because I don't necessarily know what like Fox News and them are saying, but a lot of people are saying that he was confirmed MS13. The government itself is saying that. Can I cuss on here?
I mean, yeah, we try to keep it, with the YouTube words, like we say RPay and P-Hub content instead of corn or whatever. But
well,
regular curses, fucking curse, shitty mouth.
They're bullshitting, and they're lying about someone. And I think that if someone was a true patriot, they would see, or at least not take the government's claim at face value against an individual's personal rights that are afforded them. So the government is claiming that he is MS13.
Right.
The reasons that they have said that was because
of the tattoos that he has.
Did you see the tattoos?
I mean, if it's the same guy, yeah. Let's see if I have anything here, but
and pull up the version that doesn't have the doctored MS13 over it, just the raw.
Okay. Well, since you bring that up, then we do have to go over this video.
Knows how dumb his base is.
Hold on. Where are we? We're going to come back to this D96.
Does he think we're all stupid? So Trump knows how dumb his base is, knows how dumb the people that voted for him are, that he thinks that he can absolutely get away with this with everyone else. His photo has MS13, claiming that is a literal tattoo on Kilmar Garcia's.
No, I don't think he's at all stupid. I think he is going to question some people in this country after seeing things like this.
These are his actual tattoos.
Yes, those are his actual tattoos.
This looks like someone took this photo, typed in the letters MS and the numbers 13.
You might be onto something there. That might actually be exactly what they did. It's almost like Trump put those numbers there so you could understand what each of those symbols meant. That's silly. Why would he do that?
Can you pause that real quick, though?
Yep.
I 1000% agree with what you just said. I know a lot of people are making like a stink saying that like, oh, he put those numbers there in order for it to be like, oh, that's what the actual tattoo was. I understand the idea that it was supposed to be those tattoos meant something and they were encoded in a gang sign. However, everything that I know about MS-13 is that they brandished their sign explicitly without encoding it, for one. And for two, even if that's the case, that is an MS-13 tattoo and it is encoded, that doesn't change the fact that they need to prove that in court before they decide to throw them away, because they could make that argument with any tattoo. They could say, this is encoded MS-13, deport somebody, send them to Sakat, and it's whatever. They could literally do that. So, I mean, that's not really
this
like
is
the
not
strongest argument.
MS-13 didn't pop up yesterday. We know. I mean, I'm not an expert, but
yeah, nobody said they did.
Right. So and it's so let me back up. Why is it that you specifically said bring up the one without the M and the S and the 1 and the 3 there?
Because I don't necessarily know how. I can't speak to your mind, and that's the state that I was coming from. I didn't know if you believed that tattoo itself, the MS-13, was the actual tattoo, because it seemed like you were unfamiliar with the case. And I know a lot of people who like watch all this stuff. They will look at like what Trump does and everything, and like they'll say that. So yeah, I didn't think that you or like your audience knew that, but I'm glad that you are on the same page as me, where it was like he wasn't putting that to show that was the tattoo. So he was signifying what each one would technically.
So then you're
think.
claiming that.
And for the record, though, just real quick, I thought that the actual tattoo itself is convincing evidence that he might be MS-13. For the record.
So again, then why are we? What's the issue?
Because they haven't proven that he's MS-13, and all of the evidence that they're citing is either faulty or hasn't been proven in court, or hasn't allowed him to give his choice, his stance in court to prove that he's MS-13. That tattoo, do you agree that tattoo doesn't explicitly show that he's MS-13?
No.
Okay, so how do we prove that he's MS-13?
Because if he had those tattoos and he was on anywhere where MS-13 operates, he would be dead, and he's alive. Yeah. So that means that the MS-13 tattoos that match what MS-13 means, him being around MS-13 gang members, and he's alive, is proof enough for me.
Okay.
Let's go to.
Do you not? Hold on, just real quick. Do you? What is your stance on him being MS-13?
He's got the tattoos. I mean,
did you not just say that the tattoos weren't convincing to you? Maybe I got that wrong.
No, I said precisely the fact that if you have these tattoos and you're in a physical area where there's other MS-13 gang members, you either are in MS-13 or you're dead.
No.
So the fact that he's not dead.
Hold on. No. That's you assuming that the tattoo is MS-13.
Yes.
If the tattoo is an MS-13.
Based on
so you're making that assumption, right?
No, yes, but it's not an assumption based on. I mean, I don't even know. I don't necessarily know if I would call it an assumption. Like, would you say that it's an assumption that this is a tattoo of a clipper ship? I mean, that's not really an assumption.
No. That's you understand that that's like an insane comparison that you just made.
Okay,
right?
well, let's go. All right, so
hold on. Show me that same tattoo. Show me that same tattoo again. Show me the same tattoo again. Okay, what if I said that was a sign that you're in a sailor's gang?
Okay, so find the sailor's game, match up that tattoo, and if I've been
so basically that boat, a lot of sailor gangs they like to have boats, and they have tattoos where they have like a certain amount of sales. Therefore, that tattoo that you just gave makes you in that gang, and I could just deport you and send you to Sakat. You have no.
If that were the case, yes.
You have no chance to prove that you are not in that gang, despite the Constitution. Because, fuck the Constitution. I'm just going to say
yes. Okay, fine. I'll agree with you that if there was a gang that had very popular tattoo designs that other people were getting in very popular numbers, that would not be a good justification. But that's not the case with MS-13.